because I've spoken a lot about it with my anxiety. It's something that I still deal with on a daily basis. It was for 2 years. It was a really bad point in my life, and something that, you know, I had people very close to me that had anxiety, and I would say to them often back in the day, like, you know, you just need to calm down. And it's the same with depression, but you just need to cheer up. And until you go through that and you realize that your brain of yours has taken over, and there's, you know, I often say, like, it's hard to escape the catacombs that are your mind, because you go and delve into these holes. And for me, trying to pursue the career that I am pursuing, it is difficult to sort of think that you can do that without seeing someone going through the same thing that you're going through and being successful at that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just something you don't think is achievable.
Well, that's the thing. When you said, like, oh, you can say to someone, oh, look, just take a breath, calm down. Like, but when you're going through it in that moment, or like your life's in that where you are then, like, people can't relate unless they've actually been through it. So that's why I find that I can use my following for that reason. And people message me all the time, and I'll like spend fucking hours just replying to people and just talking to them, because I've been on meds now for 14, 15 years.
What are you on?
Prestige.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like all antidepressants, or well, anxiety pills are classified as antidepressants. So you may not have depression, but it's under that classification of the antidepressant. And then I was on Xanax and Valium, which I just recently got off.
How did you find getting off the benzodiazepines? Because I know that's something that Jordan Peterson is currently in treatment for, because it is such an addictive schedule drug or section of drugs, or whatever they call it. But how did you find getting off that and taking? Was it cold turkey? Was it slowly?
It was straight cold turkey, and it was a nightmare. They're very, very addictive.
How recent was this?
Probably like 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
because there's a lot of people, like I know people who just pop that shit every day.
Oh yeah, for fun.
Yeah.
There's people who don't even have mental illnesses and they're taking that stuff for fun. And yeah, I don't really agree with it, but yeah, whatever. It seems cool to be taking those sort of things.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it's weird, because when I was going through all this depression, anxiety, I was so embarrassed, and I would think, you know, I wouldn't want to say it around my friends, because I thought, you know, you look at people and you think, oh, they've got a great life. Like, you know, famous people, they've got a lot of money and all this stuff, but you don't know what's going on in here, you know? So it's just good to try and tell people that everyone's got an issue.
Yeah, and as you said with the alcohol, and alcohol is an anti-anxiolytic.
Yeah.
So like you see a lot of people, they get home from work, they've had a busy day, all of a sudden they're stuck with their thoughts, so they drink.
That's right.
And it is very, very common, particularly throughout Australia and probably the world. I'm not too sure, but a lot of people are doing that, and they still do that, and they get stuck in that sort of mindset that probably follows them until their death when they're older.
Yeah, I think it's a very Australian thing, alcohol. You know, there's tradies or whatever job you have, and then you come home and then you sink piss. There's a page called Blokes Advice or something. Now, a lot of the guys talk about their own depression and whatever, but they're all consistent. You know, I'm not sure if they're alcoholics, some of them may be, but they're all consistently drinking. It's just a depressant. So it's just going to make them feel a lot worse. So, yeah, I don't know, it's difficult, you know, so.
Yeah, but it's so important, and I really do praise you for what you're doing. Like, and I mean, you know, it's something that a lot of people, you're sort of in our situation where someone who's gone through it or going through it, you let these people who are out there, who are particularly young people, or even, you know, in saying that, perhaps I'm wrong, even people who are middle-aged, younger, mid-20s, who for the first time in their lives, they experience something. Like I know when I first started having anxiety, I thought I was going fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I went and saw the Joker film recently.
Yeah.
In where were we? London. In London. And I went to London. What's up? And I went in there and watched that and saw him going through these moments of like pure psychosis. Yeah. And I started to think to myself, that's how I felt. Like I wasn't taking people's heads off, but I was, you know, I was freaking out. I was worried that I'd end up on the street, or how do I hold down a job, or how do I deal with this? Thankfully, I through a lot of coercing from my loved ones, and through a lot of you know, trial and failure and time, I went and got help and went to the doctors and saw psychologists and did all these things that finally got me into sort of line. And you know, I talk about a lot. I was still going through those problems, and it's something I'll probably, with, as you said, probably deal with for the rest of my life. And that's just it. But for people who have never experienced that, that is such a huge wet blanket on your life. Sure. It stops life.
Yeah, 100%.
It causes breakups. It causes, it causes dramatic weight gain. It causes horrible things to happen in your life. And then it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
You start drinking and you start gambling just to take away the edge.
That's right. I
mean, I think one of the things that is positive for people is hearing from people like you.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not like, I don't want them to look at me and say, oh, well, he's cured himself or, he's got rid of it, because that's far from the case. I think it's improved maybe 10%, since I've started on the the hemp seed oil and the CBD oil stuff. I've only taken that route because I've just felt like I had nowhere else to try.
Sure.
I tried acupuncture, iodology, all the naturopath sort of stuff, and also the pharmaceutical side of things, and nothing was working because it was such a severe case. So, fuck, man, I was like 18 and I was like sleeping in my mum's room next to her bed on the ground because I couldn't leave the fucking house. And that was all due to marijuana. That's how I reckon it happened anyway, because I was smoking a lot of weed. And all of a sudden, I just remember the one time, and then it happened at night, and I just flipped out. I rang the hospital, thought I was having a heart attack. My hands and feet were sweating. Everything seemed surreal. And I was like, I'm going crazy. I felt I was losing control. And when you feel like you're not losing, when you're not in control, that's when, I don't like that. So, and I was flipping out. And then that's where it all started. And then it just got worse from there.
So a panic attack sort of situation.
Yeah.
That's what triggered my anxiety too. My anxiousness was over, and my anxiety was directly correlated to being anxious about having panic attacks.
Yeah.
So there's weird feedback
shit. It's a weird thing because you think about it and it's almost like you're thinking you want it to happen. You almost try and bring it on yourself. It's really, really odd. And, it's...
Like I notice when I don't have it, and then I start having it. It's weird. Like even like last night we had a family dinner and everything was happy, lovely. And I just started to have a weird panic attack. I've got nothing. Yeah. And that's the weird thing. I tried to explain it to my old man. Like he said to me, mate, you need to, you just calm down and whatever. I said, Dad, like I'm sitting at home with the people I love, and I've got this weird part of my brain that tells me that there's a lion next to me trying to kill me.
Yeah. And
I'm freaking out. My heart rate's through the roof. I'm sweating. I'm having hot flushes. All these fucking things. I'm not going through menopause. Something's fucking wrong.